Here we are wrapping up 2023 for the U.S. men's national team. 2 games in October against Germany and Ghana. 2 games in November, Nations League TBD. And then we get ready for 2024. So we take the most out of all these games, although we don't get too hyped for it. I don't think people are getting hyped for it. As we've said before on this program, we don't feel enough people are paying any attention to U.S. men's soccer. And that's got to change because this is a compelling team. They're currently ranked 11th in the world by FIFA, so they're doing something right results-wise. They haven't lost in 13 games. It's been a really impressive year, certainly coming off the World Cup. That can't be looked as a failure by any means. That was a success. So good times. We had a couple speed bumps along the way, but U.S. soccer deserves to get a lot more attention, deserves to be in the spotlight. But whether it's soccer or sports in the United States, there's so much competition. So we got to stand pat. It will get better, and I have confidence in this team. How great it can get, we'll reserve that debate for another day. Pressure on doing well in 2026 because they're hosting the World Cup. When the U.S. hosted in '94, they did great. They were an unknown quantity. A bunch of sometimes semi-pro guys all of a sudden beating Colombia, taking Brazil to the brink. But this is a different team, and I don't want to really compare it, but this is the goal, right, in 2026. So we will break down these 2 games, more so the Germany game, which is on October the 14th. There it is. That'll be at Rentschler Field in Hartford, my old stomping grounds. I've been to many games at Rentschler on my days working at ESPN. It's a nice little stadium. With all these new buildings going up, a bit of an odd decision to take there. And then October 17th, the United States will face old foe Ghana at beautiful Geodis Park, the home of Nashville SC. And we'll break it all down here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast, where all podcasts are available. I will be joined by Sporting Kansas City 2 coach, formerly Swope Park Rangers, Benny Feilhaber, former U.S. international. We'll talk about coaching, scouting players. We will break down the Middle East and what it's doing in the world of soccer. Check out the Soccer OG podcast. Like and subscribe us here on YouTube under my name, Max Bretos. So this is a game, the United States versus Germany, that the United States should be favored. People would go crazy. To the neutrals, to those who haven't been paying much attention, Germany has hit a bad patch. They are 2-4-1 in 2013. They had a famous defeat to Japan, 4-1. Japan really the big outsider that, to me, has the highest ceiling of perhaps winning a World Cup. I don't think the United States will win a World Cup anytime soon, my lifetime. I don't think I'll see it. I plan on being around for another 40 years or more. Japan might do it. Germany has struggled. The talent pipeline has been lacking. They're leaning into some of the old guards like Thomas Müller or Joshua Kimmich, Leon Goretzka. There's great young talent that hasn't really blossomed like Jamal Musiala. It's not a European power. I mean, they would be 8th or 9th, and they have dipped badly in major competitions, knocked out of the group stages in the last 2 World Cups. Alarming stuff for Germany. And now this record. They aren't fearing anyone. Hansi Flick got fired between World Cup cycles. That is kind of odd. You have to be really bad for that to happen. It happened to Hansi Flick. So the United States come in here, and they don't have to win it, but man, it would be impressive if they could come out and show the world, the Germans, die Mannschaft, that they are taking that next step as a national team program. And even more so to beat the Germans, who, whether it's Rudi Völler or whether it's new coach Julian Nagelsmann, who's an amazing coach, young, phenomenal coach, and the folks around the Bundesliga complaining that the Germans have to make this long trip to face the United States. Why do we have to fly 9 hours to New York and take a short puddle jumper or a bus ride to Hartford? Probably another flight. Why do we have to do that? And this was Charles Boehm had this really good tweet that I think nails it down perfectly. And is there a better expression than clutching your pearls? I mean, you can visualize exactly what that is, right? Oh, clutch your pearls. So, where did Charles goes? I'm looking for it. I'm sorry. I'm scrolling down. He tweets too much. The amount of pearl clutching in Germany over one 8-hour flight has got to be hilarious for all the European-based players from other continents who did this constantly for years. Yeah, it's not a good look for Germany, especially when the entire U.S. team would be better served if this game was in Europe. They're all European-based, but 3 or 4 of them. Although I think the U.S. players are probably happy to come to the U.S., even though they're not at home. They might be able to slip away for a little bit. They're here for a long time, and they get to go, to those places that they miss, whatever it might be, although I don't know what that is. But if you're American, it's nice to come back to the States. However, this would have made more sense if it was in Europe. But I'm just preparing you for all of this because I think we're going to hear more of it because the world, when it applies to friendlies, is very splintered. At the end of the day, we're pretty lucky to have Germany on this fixture list. And Germany and Ghana are playing the U.S., and then they're flipping, and they're playing Mexico. So they get 2 games. So it's not just 1 game. I mean, they're playing 2 very good squads. USA and Mexico, highly rated in the FIFA rankings. But I think we've got to prepare ourselves for this. And remember, the September window, we were supposed to have Argentina, Brazil, and they pulled out to do World Cup qualifying. The U.S. are not going to have qualifiers for 2026. There was a story of Gareth Southgate and England hosting the 2028 Euros, and they say they want to qualify and make their way. That's ridiculous, but I understand where they're coming from. You want to be prepared. If you don't have right preparation, you're not going to be successful at a World Cup. And I think that's going to be one of the issues for the U.S. that will prevent them from having this great run that we're hoping for in 2026. They're not going to get the games. UEFA is an incubator. South America is an incubator. Where do you get games? You can't keep playing Costa Rica and Panama and Honduras. You're not going to go anywhere. And really, CONCACAF, which was starting to get stronger with the emergence of Canada, Canada has it's just crashed with lawsuits and bankruptcy and failure. I mean, Canada's they're not as bad as they once were. They still have great talent, but they're not on that same level over the USA and Mexico, and it happened so quickly. John Herdman's out of there. What's going to happen with Canada? So CONCACAF is not going to be a reliable source for games. And I think Europe and South America aren't going to look this way. The USA has to do something drastic. I don't know what it is. Same with Mexico. Because the Europeans are complaining and we can laugh at them. But at some point, the Europeans go, we have everything we need in our backyard. We don't need to go there. The Bundesliga will put pressure. The Champions League, UEFA, all of that will put pressure as to why leave. Europe will have everyone come there. They are so much more powerful than CONCACAF. So the U.S. are at a disadvantage. We're lucky we got this game. Maybe you look at African and Asian teams. They beat Uzbekistan and Oman. Not superpowers, but a nice departure from CONCACAF teams. And then Ghana's a legit African powerhouse, superpower perhaps, top 20, top 25 country. Very competitive, lots of great talent. Maybe lean in that direction. Maybe there is a way to build. But this is a big concern for the United States. And when we laugh at the Germans complaining, I'm telling you, UEFA can shut the door. They can. They can shut the door on us, and I would expect it to happen. And then we'd have Mexico and Panama and Costa Rica, and the U.S. aren't going to get better. You need good opponents. It's clear. We all agree on that, right? You've got to play the best. And even here with the Germans playing in the United States, we would love to see them play overseas because they need to get out of that comfort zone because all they do is play in the United States. Whether it is Gold Cup, whether it's Nations League, whether it's in MLS with regards to Leagues Cup, whether it's Copa America. It's all in the U.S. The World Cup. I think the U.S. will do well on the road, but we don't know until they test themselves. So I think this would be this is a great test you got to hang on to. It's just a game. And they're going to face a team I think they will be favorites to beat. I think the U.S. win this game. I'm going to say they win it 2-0. Here is my projected 11. And we'll get into the players and who stands where. I'll quickly give you the 11. I'll give you my thoughts about the roster. Some are pretty cut and dry, I think we'll agree. Matt Turner in gold. Christopher Lund, because of what he did in that last window, I think will be at left back. Serginho Dest at right back. Serginho Dest could move to left back, but I think you keep him there. Tim Ream and Chris Richards. In defense, the midfield with Malik Tillman. Oh, I did talk to his brother Timothy at LAFC, and he says it's Malik Tillman. So I've been reprimanded for calling him Malik, but his brother said that was his name. I'll say Malik. And the midfield now, I was more excited to see Tillman play because he's been doing great at PSV Eindhoven, and we want to see if we can plop a number 10 in there with no Tyler Adams. If we can play a number 10 and have those results we had at the Nations League, much as we did with Gio Reyna. So Gio Reyna's there, but do I put him in the starting 11? I'm not. It's going to be Musa, McKennie, who's been outstanding. Both those two guys have been outstanding for their Italian clubs and should give you a lot of comfort. Luca Della Torre gets in there. I don't know if that's the most tangible midfield for what the U.S. wants to do. You don't have a true number 6. You don't have a true number 10. It's like 3 number 8s. So maybe it's unlikely those are the 3 there. I'm just going to leave it there for now. And then up front, no issues there. Pulisic and Weah out wide. Flo Balogun in the middle. And those 3 guys have all been great. Weah is irreplaceable. Balogun, after missing 2 penalties in a game, has got Monaco going their first place in Ligue 1. Christian Pulisic has been exceptional. Christian Pulisic is on his way to having the best season by an American player in Europe ever, as we talked about in our last videos. I think he can get there. I think he has turned the corner on injuries. So Christian Pulisic, exceptional. Didn't do great in the September game, so I'd like to see him improve a little bit here, but I am confident that one of those 3 guys, if not 2, will score against the Germans. So I'm going to go over a few player scenarios here, and we'll keep it brief because I know we're excited about the game. I'd love to be there for everyone there in East Hartford. I used to live in West Hartford. Wonderful, charming little place. Great restaurants. So let's go back to front. No issues here. Matt Turner, he is our number 1. Tim Ream. And I said this before. Tim Ream keeps his spot until he starts to show that he's mortal. He is an older player, but he doesn't play that way. He's actually played his best soccer that he ever did in 2022 in his mid-30s. He's starting to look like an old player. Broke his arm. That's got nothing to do with age, but he has not played well for Fulham. I get concerned watching that maybe they love him there, but at some point, if Fulham struggle and continue to concede, that Tim Ream might lose some playing time. Hasn't been good. I've seen him on the end of 2 or 3 really bad mistakes that have led to opponents' goals. Chris Richards is the other center back, and I think we have great center backs. Cameron Carter-Vickers is a guy we could develop. Mark McKenzie at some point. There are many other guys burgeoning that are young. We have Miles Robinson there. He has a lot to prove. I think the coaches like him a lot, but he's got to prove things. But Chris Richards can't break into the Crystal Palace rotation. Austin Trusty's another one who's started to play for Sheffield United, who are in the Premier League barely. Chris Richards, he can't be our best defender and not play for his club. He has to be in a similar role like Tim Ream. He has to be a intrinsic player on whatever club he's playing for. I would love that to be Crystal Palace. I thought it would be Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have been pretty good this season. It's not Crystal Palace. Does he stay there? I mean, if Chris Richards wants to be our best defender, which he has all the ability to do, he can't keep not playing. So the back line, which, by the way, the defense has always been a strength, and I don't expect them to give up goals here, has some long-term concerns that we will address further on. I don't think it'll be an issue here. I think they'll be watertight. The midfield. We mentioned no Malik Tillman. Gio Reyna should start, right? Would it be a great PR move to put him in there and people can all stop yammering and pipe down about that relationship between Berhalter and Reyna, which has been resolved a bit? I think there was a situation when it was BJ Callahan came up to talk about Gio Reyna and people got up in arms. Why isn't Greg Berhalter there? And I said, well, I think it's smart from Greg Berhalter to stay out of there and ruffle feathers. Message received. Not a concern, they're playing. People may get upset if Gio Reyna doesn't start, but maybe he does start because of the Tillman injury. And I got to say, he doesn't deserve to start. He doesn't. He's played one game for Dortmund, and he's been healthy the last few games. And there's a concern for Gio Reyna that it didn't go well with the U.S., and there were concerns there. Well, there's some concerns with Dortmund. We haven't heard of an issue within the locker room, but if he's not playing, then yeah, what's going on? So Gio Reyna, that's the big story. If you see him in the starting 11, buckle up. But he doesn't deserve to be in there. I'm just telling you. And Gio Reyna, if he gets an opportunity here, and I think it's smart to play him so he can get some confidence. If the confidence doesn't pop around, remember he was great in the Nations League early in the year, then what do we do? Because he might need to find another club too. And that's a big, big decision. And you don't just happen like this. You got to wait. It may happen in January. It may not happen until the end of the year. We were saying this at the end of last year when he wasn't playing regularly. He's a young player, but he's losing time. You can't lose time. Christian Pulisic didn't lose time. So that'll be interesting. And, I did say Luca de la Torre in there. I just can't see them playing 3 number 8. So let's just say Gio Reyna gets in there for argument's sake. Maybe Johnny Cardoso comes in and Musa and McKennie move forward in that midfield pivot. And then we got to see what Christian Pulisic can do. I don't feel any pressure. He's been so good at club, so I don't want to say he has to do this or that. I just want him to lead. And it was very interesting, too, because he has German tie-ins. This is one thing that's really good about this team, is when we talked about them before the 2022 World Cup, they were kids. They're not kids anymore. They're young players, but they're not kids. Weston McKennie was talked about this German team, and he was mentioning how he was playing with Leon Goretzka at Schalke and was familiar with them. I mean, these guys have put some time in with clubs in Europe and also have a World Cup under their belt. They are different players. They are poised, they are seasoned, and I think they are up to any challenge. This is an exciting group. So get ready. And I think Balogun is getting better with his club form. Everything is pointing in the right direction. We don't have a very deep team, and I think we'll see that. We're far from healthy. A few guys have not hit their spots. A few of them now playing with the under-23s, with the Olympics. I'm not going to get too fired up for the Olympics. I don't care. It's a sham of a tournament, but we'll talk about that another time. I'm glad the U.S. are there, but it's a sham. But depth is something we need to see develop over the next few months. But this should be fun. USA will win it 2-0, upwards and onwards. The Soccer OG. Check us out here. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Check us out here. Like and subscribe. We'll see you before the Ghana game, maybe after the Ghana game.